Okay, so I'm here with Athena and we are doing a video lesson. Good girl. So the first week with both Athena and Dasher, we're really working on getting that nice straight heel position. She's doing a really good job. I can tell you've practiced, which is great. So she's understanding that this is the heel position. So honestly, with both of them, it took a while to really get this ingrained in them. But this is going to be the basis and the foundation for everything we do. Okay? Heel. All right. Heel. So like I said, this is the foundational position for everything else we do. So this is the heel position. When we go and walk around, this is where my dog should be, is at my side. So if my dog is here and we're walking together and my dog is staying on my side, they're not going to be at the end of the leash. They're not going to be pulling. They're not going to be getting distracted, looking around, going behind me, going through my legs. They're going to be in a position where we can walk comfortably together. Okay? So the way that looks is as we're moving, no, free. We did start doing down, so she's like, oh, I know this. When we're moving, I'm going to reward when she is here with me. Now, the difference between teaching this stationary where we're seated versus when we're moving is that when we're moving, it is like changing a little bit, right? As we walk, right? The heel position isn't a constant state. So we're going to try and capture the moments when she's as perfect as we can, right? Ideally, I want her paying attention. So if I turn or if I suddenly stop, she's aware of it. If she's off looking at butterflies and I suddenly stop, she's going to go out ahead of me because she's not going to realize it. So I'm going to reward for her paying attention. I'm not going to reward her for spinning out like that. So we're going to go for a little walk around this area. Heel. Okay. Good. Now, heel. Now we have conditioned the clicker, so she knows that the clicker means that she's doing the right thing. So as we move around the space, as we move around and we're walking together, her goal is to stay on that left-hand side in the heel position, okay? So if I turn and she gets out of position, when she comes back in, that's what I'm marking. Now, what I also want to let you know what I'm doing is with the e-collar, so I have the e-collar remote in my hand here, is that anytime she's out of this position, she's going to feel that e-collar. Tap, 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 comes back in, we're going to mark. So the e-collar is really good for this exercise because imagine that there's a square on the ground, right? And as long as you're in the square, nothing happens. But as soon as you step outside that square, you feel that stim on your neck from the e-collar, right? You go back in the square, it stops. That's essentially how we treat using the e-collar with the heel. But the square is just moving with us. So imagine that there's this big rectangle that's attached to our hip, and as we move forward, it moves forward too. So anytime she's outside that rectangle, we're going to feel that tapping, okay? So heel. Good. Tap, tap, tap. Good. Heel. Good. Heel. Tap, tap, tap. Good. Right? And what I am doing is I'm setting up little opportunities for her to make a lot of effort to stay with me, right? So when I do these sudden turns, she has to really try to stay with me and not eat stuff off the ground. Now, if you notice, I use my leash there to just stop her from eating off the ground. It does take a little bit of practice to kind of juggle everything, right? Good. So it'll be up to you to practice this sort of stuff, right? So the clicker means you're doing something good. The button on the e-collar means you're doing something wrong, right? And then this is now just a management tool, meaning I'm going to use this to stop her from jumping on somebody. I'm going to use this to stop her from jumping on me. I'm going to use this to stop her from running into traffic or eating off the ground. So this is just management, all right? So any of these behaviors that we want to have stop happening, we're just going to stop them, right? Because the more we allow them, the more she understands that that is an option. But if we don't allow them to happen, then she's going to give up attempting those behaviors. Free? I know, you're lazy. She had early morning. Good girl. You should go, girl. You should, guys. All right, we're gonna do some more healing. Heel. My camera is supposed to be tracking me, but I'm having some issues with tracking, so I'm just gonna stay where you can see me, hopefully. Heel. Good. Heel. Heel. So when we first started this, we taught her that just being next to us got the click, got the reward, right? So every time she hears a clicker, she gets the reward. Every time she's in the heel position, she hears the click, she gets the reward, right? So what we're doing now is we're adding the word heel. So she's established that when she's in that heel position, she hears that clicker and then she gets the cookie. Now when she hears that heel, she hears a click and she gets the cookie. And we're telling her where the reward is going to be with the command. So when I say heel, she knows that the reward is going to be here. So when I say heel, she knows it's going to be right here next to me. Heel. So she's going to come over looking for that reward when she starts to hear that word. Heel. Good. Heel. So if you think about it, when we use the word place, we're telling our dog that the reward is going to be on the place bed. When we say the word kennel, we're telling our dog the reward is going to be in the kennel, right? Sit. When I say the word sit, the reward is going to be right where we are when I say the word sit. So if I say sit, and then I kind of step away, and I come back to her side, the reward's going to be right where she was when I said the word sit. So sit. So wherever she is when I say the word sit, that's where she should expect that reward. Free. Now, on that one, she did kind of pivot out. I shouldn't have rewarded that. That was my mistake, because I'm trying to multitask and make a video and give you instructions all at the same time. If you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. Just keep going. It's okay. You're not going to screw up, I promise. Because we're going to do it again. We're going to go sit. Good. Good. Very nice. Excellent. Heel. Now, if we're going to say the word sit when we stop, heel. Good. When I stop, if I say sit, sit should mean to stay seated until I tell you otherwise. So if I start walking forward, I should have the expectation that she's going to stay there. Now, she maybe doesn't have the best sit stay at this moment. Maybe she does. I don't know. I'm not going to test it. I want to wait until I'm sure she's going to do it right before I test it. But if I do say sit when I stop, I'm going to reward her in this heel position. But before I start walking again, I need to tell her that I want her to come with me. Free. I don't want you going to that down. We're not doing downs right now. We're doing sit. Okay? So if I want her to walk with me when I get up, when I start moving, I can either tell her her heel command, which is heel, or I can tell her free. If I tell her free, there's no expectation that she stays in that heel position necessarily, right? You can make it implied if you want to. It's up to you. Generally, if my dogs are on a leash, I expect them not to be pulling at the end of the leash, and eating off the ground is not allowed, okay? Are they perfect? No. But that should be the expectation at least. So when I start moving, I'm going to tell her what I want her to do before I start to move, okay? So I'm going to say, heel. Heel means, right, when I move forward, you move with me. But I have to tell her that before I start moving. So we're here, I say sit. Good. Now, the sit is implied, so if I wanted to, I could have just said heel when I stopped, and she would sit, right? But I'm going to say heel, and then I step forward with my left foot, because I want to remember left with me, or stay right where you are. So if I want her to stay, I'm going to use my right foot. Now, we don't say stay. It's just a way for you to remember which foot is which. So, sit. Good. Sit. 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 If I want her to come with me, heel. Means we're going together. Now, I don't know if you noticed on that one, right? The moment I said heel, she kind of got up as if she thought heel means go forward. But heel just means be next to me, right? So I should be able to go heel, heel, right? I don't always want heel to mean go forward. Heel just means be next to me. Okay, so if I say sit, I can leave this position, right? Now, honestly, if I wanted to, I could call her into heel from here and have her swing into that heel position. And so that she discriminates the meanings of the words, right? So heel, nope, heel. I'm going to make her swing a little bit more. There we go. Heel means be next to me. I'm not a huge fan of leaning, but if it helps her have like a foundational point to aim for, not the end of the world. Good. Heel, step forward. Good girl. All right, we're going to do that one again. So we're going to come over here. We're going to come to a halt. Sit. Good. Sit. Sit. Right? If I'm going to step forward, I'm going to use my right foot. So sit, step forward, come back. Good. I'm just teaching her that when I say sit, if I move and I step forward, you should stay where you are. No, sit. All right, sit. All right. The first step is the hardest, so doing a lot of repetitions of this first step is the best way to make sure that she's going to have really good stays in the future. So if I want her to come with me, I'm going to say heel, and I step forward to that left foot, right? So always remember, if we're stationary and I'm going to move, I need to let her know what I expect her to do before I move, right? I cannot expect her to be a mind reader. So if I want her to come with me, I have to tell her heel. If I want her to stay where she is, I need to tell her sit. And then whatever decision I make, I should use the corresponding foot, right? Now, am I always perfect? I try to be, but no, I'm not. The more perfect we are, the easier she's going to learn. But what that's going to do, it's not only going to give her an audible command that she can reference for what is expected of her to do, but also a visual cue, right? Now, ideally, she's looking up at me. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's looking at my hips. But if I step forward with my right foot, my left hand goes forward, right? If I step forward with my left foot, my right hand goes forward. So our dog can kind of tell the body language of which foot we're using. And I do think that they can kind of see this in their periphery. So if this foot goes, right, she should expect to go forward. If this foot goes, it's going to look a little bit different the way I move. The other thing I want to do when I ask her for a stay, and we are going to do this on the place bed too, is I'm going to step in kind of out in front of her and kind of face her. So sit. She's thinking about laying down. Sit. I'm going to step out in front of her like this, and I'm going to come back to her side. Boom. All right. Sit. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to reward her while I'm out in front of her. I'm always going to come back to the side position and reward. Heel. So make sure the most important thing I want you to think about when you're practicing these things is telling her what you want her to do before you do what you're going to do. Okay. So if I'm going to start moving, I have to tell her heel before I move. So heel. Okay. So these are just going to be some of the little rules we're going to go over for basic obedience. This would be in a perfect environment where we're not dealing with things like major distractions, reactivity, right? Some of these rules will be altered based on the requirements of the moment. So the things that we were doing with Dasher, where if my dog is staring at something that he wants to be reactive towards, I'm going to silently disappear out of that heel position, right? Because he should intentionally, or he should be trying his best to also stay in that heel position, right? He knows he's supposed to stay in that heel position. And so when he is distracted heavily, and now we say, guess what, buddy? You're already wrong, right? Now we can say, Athena, yeah, good girl. And she goes, oh, crap, you're all the way back there. And now she had to go through all this extra work in order to get back into that heel position. And she's going to be paying better attention. She's like, man, you're sneaky. I got to pay better attention because you just disappeared on me. I don't even know where you went. And especially when we're dealing with like what Dasher has going on, where he's got a really negative association with certain things, we don't want to put him, like, we don't want to start correcting him for these behaviors when he's in a situation where he already feels a heavy emotion about something. We don't want to start correcting him in those moments. So, all right, this is going to be just one of your first updates. I'm going to give you a whole bunch more updates this week. We're going to go over everything more in depth with heel, with sit, with down, with place, and then the recall. The recalls are looking really good. I'm really like, those are super easy. We're just conditioning the e-collar with them. Now, sit. I know, you lazy. It's okay. Me too. But, all right. I'll talk to you later. Heel. Good.